Hey family, it's Tasha MamaBearPrepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up. So good, so good. Switched to a me and hubby been switching to a mushroom coffee, and it's delicious, right? So super excited about that. Tastes just like coffee. Just super excited. Okay, so with staying in theme this week, I'm not going to say all fun and games, but just more relaxed, more chill. We're talking about lists. We're talking about top 15 lists for different topics. You guys have been letting me know what you want to hear. This topic actually that somebody asked me for, I actually talked about in length on Patreon. I did my first live with Patreon probably a week and a half ago, and we talked about nuclear preps, fallout preps, getting your home ready for fallout in depth, okay? For an hour, really delved deep, right? So this is going to give you just the skinny, right? It's just, these are some preps. These are the top 15 preps. Those of you that have been prepping for this area and do take it serious, please make sure that you put in the comments below so that people can see the other things that you get for preparing for this area, because there's a multitude of different things you could do. Without further ado, let's get into it. So number one thing I have is potassium iodide, not iodine, iodide, okay? I'm just going to number my things, you guys, real quick. 9, 10, 12, 13. Oh, my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I need to come up with a 15th one. Okay, we'll figure it out at the end, you guys. We're just going to go. First one, potassium iodide. You can get this in several different forms, okay? You can get this in IOSAT. You can get ThyroSafe. You can go ahead and just go on Amazon or some other vitamin supplement area and just get straight iodide pills, right? Potassium iodide pills. And you can get this for your pets as well, right? Safe for your pets. Could you just break your pills up? Typically, that's what you'll do for kids. There is a liquid form that you can buy over the counter for pets. I think I saw some on Amazon even. So there's a liquid form that you can get for your animals as well, livestock, that type of thing. Okay, number 2 thing I have is apple pectin. They actually use apple pectin. It's a vitamin supplement. You can buy it, again, any vitamin supplement store, local, on Amazon, wherever, where they actually use this in Chernobyl, right? And it helped battle almost as a diuretic, if you will, with radioactive materials, right? Getting them and expunging them from your body, okay? So apple pectin. Third one is apple juice. Same idea. A very good prep to have in general. If you're just prepping juices and different things like that, you might want to check where it's coming from, because I just saw these huge videos of being able to tell where your apple juice is coming from, and a lot of it comes from China, if that's something that bothers you. But super important to get into your preps, and that can be something that you guys are drinking a little bit of each day if you're going through an event, going through a fallout event, okay? Number 4 I have is a Geiger counter / radiation detector, right? Again, this comes in many forms. When I give people advisement on the Geiger counters, what kind to get, whatever, I like to have an option, because I don't know about you, but I've never had to deal with radioactive material in the sense of outside of the military, right? And knowing about it, we have nuke ships, we have all this stuff, right? But I'm talking about me personally going through an event, right? And so there's various ones on the market, cheaper ones to middle of the road to expensive. And so for me, I like us having a little bit of each. So we have a little bit of each. We have the card kind that will detect and tell you your levels. And then we have some cheaper Geiger counters. We have some middle of the road, and then we have an expensive one. And I think that that's just the way to go to cover your bases. We also have some that go into food, right? As far as testing water and food. So take a look what's on the market, but you've got to get yourself some Geiger counters / radiation detectors. Okay, number 5 I have is lead blankets. I'm talking about the kind that they lay on you when you're going to have x-rays. That real thick, heavy, almost feels like a matting. That's what I'm talking about, okay? Any kind of blankets that have lead in them is good, but that's what I'm talking about, especially if you're talking about a fallout and you're trying to line a room, or you're trying to lay it across your children when they're going to sleep, whatever. You know, you have your blankets and stuff, but you lay that on, whatever. But those lead things, and they're not cheap, right? But you can get them in, obviously, like the vest kind, right? And then you can get them like blankets. You know, I don't think it's easiest to just be like, oh, I want a king size lead blanket blanket, right? I'm not saying it's not out there on the market, but they're much smaller versions, okay? But you could get several of those for using them in different scenarios in your home, whether it's putting over a window, putting over a person, lining some kind of wall, if there's a wall that you want to protect more, whatever the case may be, looking at lead blankets. Number 6 I have is barrier items. So anything, no matter where your fallout's going to be, whatever it is that's going to be your barriers. Wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. Even if you're in the basement, you're going to want barriers that you build up around where you and your family are hanging out at. And that's, you know, wood, concrete, brick. That could be cases of water. Water is a very, very good barrier against gamma rays. Water, what else? Cat litter, cases of cat litter, all types of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on there that people, that will help with barriers that people are using to make makeshift fallout areas, or just to bolster what they already have. Maybe you already have a kind of just a room that's in your basement, but 2 of the walls are exposed to the inside of the basement. Maybe those 2 walls you want to just do some more barriers, okay? Number 7, plastic roll or Dollar Tree shower liners, right? So you want to have some kind of plastic on hand so you can put it up against windows. You can do a decon area. You can block off a room. You can put it above you if you don't have that much space between you and the roof line. Whatever it is, plastic, plastic, plastic. And I know my last one. All right, number 8, duct tape. Must have. I mean, you're going to need it to put up the plastic. Could you put up with other stuff, nails and screws and, you know, staples maybe? Yeah, absolutely. I just think duct tape is the easiest way without destroying stuff. Really getting a good seal all the way across. And I'm just a fan. Super, super strong, super sturdy. You're going to be able to use it indoor, outdoors, whatever it is you're trying to cover. If you're trying to do the coop real quick, I mean, it could be helpful on there. Whatever it is you're trying to cover and put up, duct tape is going to be a must. So you need to stockpile a lot of duct tape. Next thing I have, number 9, is pet carriers, pet supplies. So be thinking, okay, what pet carriers do you have to be able to transfer animals wherever you're going to transfer them to? So if you're bringing them inside, how are you getting them inside? You know, the chickens, how are we getting them inside? Do you have pet carriers? How are you moving pets from outdoors to indoors? Whatever it is, what are you doing for the pets? Think about the pets. Think about their involvement in what is going to happen and how you're going to move them. If you guys are bugging out, leaving, again, pet carriers. And how are you getting them in these pet carriers? Do you have enough to get everybody in the car and go? And do you have room to get in the car and go with everything that you want to get? Number 10 I have is MREs and homemade MREs. Now, I'm a huge fan of MREs when it comes to fallout, when it comes to a situation where we are for real quarantine. Not just quarantine in our house, like, hey, there's a virus, stay in your house. No. I'm talking about specifically, because in that case, we're still cooking. We're going to be cooking on a you know, camp stove, cooking real food, whatever. I'm talking about, you know, it's fallout. You're confined to a space. You're confined to a bunker, the basement. You're not going possibly in the other parts of the house even. You're more confined. And so I'm not trying to cook. I'm not trying to have to worry about all that. MREs are the best thing, because MRE is a full, complete meal. It's the meal. It's several snacks, several things in there to eat. It's high calorie stuff. It's got the drinks. It's got the condiments. It's got everything you need. It's got the actual heating element to heat up the food. Everything is in the MRE. So I'm a huge fan of military MREs. Now, are they expensive? Yes. Last time I checked, they were like $10, $11 each, but well worth it if you're using them in a situation like this. So get MREs, get enough for 8 weeks, let's just call it. And that's what you have. That is so much more than, let's say, insert the names, freeze-dried meal, right? Those freeze-dried meals are only good for one person, maybe 2. It's just the meal. It's not, you know, it doesn't have all the extra stuff that an MRE has in it for one meal, right? An MRE, like, if I'm not doing anything, I can actually live off of 1 MRE in the day. Definitely could live off of 2. That's how much stuff is in an MRE, right? Especially if you're not out, you're not exerting a lot of energy and stuff. Absolutely can make those last, okay? Whereas as soon as that freeze-dried meal is gone and done and heated up, not only that, you have to heat it up. You could eat it right out of the bag. You could just put some cold water in there. It doesn't have to be heated up. But that doesn't sound delicious. That doesn't sound comforting. That doesn't sound filling. That doesn't sound, okay, what about after that in a couple hours you're hungry and you want a snack? the MRE will have that, okay? Because the MRE is going to have that meal. It's going to have a dessert in there. It's going to have a little snack. It's going to have some extra stuff, some bread, different stuff, right? Some crackers, filling type stuff. And so huge fan. Can you make homemade MREs? Absolutely. But again, most of the time, whatever you put in that, whatever creative stuff you put in there, you can put in a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. At least the ones I make, you can do that. But it's still cold, right? You're eating cold stuff. And so something to think about on comfort. And if you're going through something like this, you guys have made it. You're trying to hunker down to really stay safe and stay away from gamma rays and all this stuff until stuff hopefully dissipates and goes and moves away. You're going to want as much comfort as possible. And I'm just going to keep it real. MRE, baby, gives me comfort, gives my family comfort. I mean, it just does, okay? Next thing I have, number 11, is warm clothes, blankets, hand warmers. So just being able to stay warm. If there's a nuclear war happening, there's probably no power. There's probably no way to heat your home. Maybe you have a wood stove. You have some other ways to heat your home. But where is that in comparison to where you're at and where you're quarantined at and where you're hanging out? That wood stove might be in a whole different room that you're not even hanging out in, right? Is not the safest room in the house, right? Could it be the room you hang out if there's just something happening outside and that's where you're going to congregate to stay warm? Yes. But if we're talking about fallout, we're talking about you're trying to be underground. You're trying to be as far away from stuff as possible. And that might not be next to that wood stove. Could you have the wood stove going still and hopefully it makes its way down? Yes, absolutely. But again, you have to go to those areas. You need to have your testers. You need to be really testing the air and figuring out what you're doing. But you know, you need to have warm clothes, warm blankets. Be thinking about that. Be thinking about hand warmers, the kind that you just crush up and you just have in your hands. Think about the kind you can put in your pockets or you know, some you know, the inside of your slippers, right? Go ahead and put them in there, warm your toes up. Electric blankets if you've got some kind of power. But again, you know, nuclear fallout, it's not like you're going out to charge. You know, it's not like you're using the generator outside that has fallout on it. And it's not like you're being able to charge a solar generator, right? Because of the debris and stuff. All right, so next thing I have, number 12, is CBRN Gear. That's your gas mat, that's your suit, that's your various things. MIRA Safety is my favorite. I am affiliated with them. If you are still in the market, you still need your gas mask, you still need a suit, you still need even something for the dog. They have a CBRN like containment area for an animal, like for a small dog, cat, whatever. So they do have something like that where you'd be able to put an animal in if you absolutely were in a situation where you needed to have them in. Really, to me, that's a situation where you're fleeing and you're fully suited up and you have everybody suited up and you're in the car and you're trying to make it to a bug out location. Yes, maybe having something like that for the animals, put them in. But you know, most of the time we're not going to be suited and booted inside our house unless of course it is hardcore and we're getting information. Like if you have a suit and a gas mask and that's coming in over the waves, over the radio waves, like if you have a suit and you're in this area, you better put it on, right? If we have our Geiger detectors going off like crazy, you better believe we're in the suits, right? And we're living in that suit. And that's it. And then we're just living in that suit and we're just changing out our, you know, our canisters ever so often. We're testing, doing the whole thing, okay? But if you do not have your gear, you need to get that, right? And they have all different sizes. They have masks for children. That needs to be, it's almost like the JASE antibiotics that I talk a lot about. You know, this stuff, you guys, I'm affiliated with, but I'm affiliated for a reason. This is must-have items. You have got to have your antibiotics. If you do not have that, you need to get that. You need to get that in your budget. If you do not have a gas mask, you do not have a gas suit, and I know some of you are watching this like you're crazy. We do not need that. If this happens, we're gonna die anyway. I don't want that. I don't need that. You're putting a target on your back if you have that. Ridiculous, okay? Ridiculous, because that will save your life. And the thing is if you want to just put your head in the sand still and just think, okay, there's levels to this. I'm okay with prepping a couple cans of beans, but I'm not okay in thinking that we would be so far as needing a gas mask. Are you watching what's going on in the world right now? We've never been closer to a conflict that has to do with nuclear warheads ever, okay? And so super important to be paying attention to what's going on and preparing for that. Next thing I have, number 13, is medical gear, and specifically meds and things to treat ARS, right? Acute radiation syndrome. Obviously, if you're that far and you have signs of that, symptoms of that: vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, fatigue, burns, physical burns on your body, that's bad. That's bad, right? But you can still prepare medically to have the things to try to put that person at ease as much as possible, right? I mean, it's super important to just have the things. There's folks that get, you know, radiation attacks and get burns and then make it through that, right? And it could be something like that that dissipates after a while, whatever, but you need to be testing the air, and you need to be ready to help somebody and put them at ease if they're going through some sort of craziness, right? Number 14 I have is bottled water. You know, a lot of folks, I know how a lot of people feel about bottled water. You know, that's not safe. We don't know what's in it. Bottled water. But in this situation, closed water, sealed off water is the best water. It's good as a barrier. It's good as for drinking because it's sealed off. If it's me, immediate fallout, we're not messing with any kind of tap water, extra water. We're not doing any of that. We'll do that in the second phase, third phase, fourth phase, as we move on and water becomes an issue. And how are we going through making water safe to drink in a type of situation where fallout just moved through our area? That's a big deal. Even well, not using that, but they say well water is actually fairly safe, but not using any of that. We are only messing with closed water as we go through this, you know, however many weeks initial period. This is not going to stop. It's not like 8 weeks you pop out and everything is back to normal. Absolutely not. But there is there's phases to this, okay? And so that initial is what we're talking about, and getting through that. If you've made it and you didn't get, you know, blown up in a bomb, right? And you weren't in the immediate area to have ARS immediately and you're dying within hours, right? If you're making it through that, this is what I'm talking about, is doing this and preparing for this time period right afterwards. And then the last one I have, which I just added, was plants. There's certain plants that both produce a lot of oxygen for your house. So it's just important to have those types of plants that are constantly heavily producing that, because you are sealing up your vents, you're sealing up your windows, you're sealing up stuff, right? And people always say, like, you're going to seal it up and then you're going to die, you're not going to be able to breathe. Well, trust and believe, air is still getting in your house, okay? But having plants that, one, are producing a lot of oxygen is good. So spider plants, snake plants, those are two really good ones. And then there's plants that actually absorb radioactive, you know, gamma rays, that will actually help absorb that stuff, like aloe, cacti, different stuff that will absorb that, that are good plants to have as well, okay? So that if anything is in the air, they're kind of absorbing that. Obviously they're going to die, but they're good absorbers of stuff like that. And then you have the ones that are doing the air. So take a look at your plants, research your plants, and get that stuff, okay? There's 1,001 things that could be on this list. Another big one is trash bags. And again, people are like, I don't constitute trash bags with nuclear fallout. Well, there's going to be so many reasons for trash bags, whether it's a decon area and you're getting rid of clothes, shedding clothes, getting rid of stuff, whether it's something merely just to hold fecal matter and urine, whether it's from you guys, whether that's animals, whatever, but you have to have something heavy duty bags to be able to hold all that stuff in some sort of area within your home, essentially, right? You're not opening the front door and throwing that out every time, letting stuff blow in. No, that's in your home somewhere. That's in the garage. It's in a different room that's not being used. But what does that look like? And having trash bags. If you have no trash bags in your house and you go through something like this where you're like having to go to the bathroom inside and you're not using the sewer system, you're not using the toilet, you're having to use emergency toilets, and you don't have something to just merely collect and hold, you know, biohazard pee and poop, that's going to be a problem for you, because now you're trying to be creative of what you're doing with that, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you're enjoying the top 15, that you're not feeling stressed out. I think that an urgency needs to be there with everything that we are talking about this week. All these lists matter. And hopefully you're either getting things, filling holes, getting things that you still needed to get, or you're hearing something on the list that's making you think about something else, or you're reading the comments and you're finding other people that are mentioning other things that remind you of stuff you need to get or things you need to get. So I just hope you keep enjoying it, and let's just keep being chill this week, okay? And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.